What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Talk Talk Punch. Thanks so much for joining us. Now, whether you're watching us here on YouTube or you're listening on the audio version at TalkTalkPunch.com or wherever you get your podcasts, please consider subscribing and make sure that you come back here every Wednesday to see what we are talking about. Kind of like this week's topic, we are ranking our top 10 favorite fantasy movies. I am Brody Hanson, joined as always by Charlie Hickman. Charlie, how you doing?
Not too bad. Hey, that sounds like a fun list. I'm going to stick around.
Oh, good.
It's good.
Yeah, everybody should stick around. Stick around, tell your friends, do all the stuff.
Tell your friends.
Do all the stuff. Now, Charlie, we were talking about this list. Actually, I asked you how you're doing.
Yeah, so look, fantasy movies, it's an interesting broad genre of film, and you can get into some very deep rabbit holes online arguing like genre specification over things, especially like Star Wars franchises, superhero movies. Like there's a lot of blurred lines and there's a lot of dual typings, if you will, for movies. Sure. Even 3 or 4 different categories you could filter something into. So for us, what we're looking at for fantasy, is it something that happens? Is it real? Magic, supernatural to an extent, but different than sci-fi because that's technology. So for instance, a movie like Back to the Future, where it's a technology-based adventure. The time machine exists, therefore he travels in time. So it's more of a sci-fi fantasy. Whereas something like Somewhere in Time, where he sits alone in a room and really concentrates and then all of a sudden is back in time, that's more of a fantasy. Sure. Because we do not have the ability to do that, and there's no technology that could ever be created that would allow us to do that. That's not the point. It's not technology-based. It's fantasy-based. So you'll get a good idea for how we filter our lists, but I don't know, bro, does that about sum it up?
I think so. Yeah, it makes sense to me.
Okay. All right, hey, good. As long as it makes sense to you.
To everybody else. And I think, as we go throughout our list, you'll kind of see like what kind of fantasy we're talking about here.
I tried not to use too many examples because they're going to appear on the lists.
It's true.
So.
It's true. All right. Well, let's get right into it. Woo. Okay. Now, number 10. Do I remember what my list is? As usual.
Of course not.
I don't. What's my number 10? I actually do remember my number 10.
Oh.
It's Legend. The Ridley Scott film Legend. This is
wow.
I haven't seen this in about 15 years, but I loved this as a kid. Man, you got the evil darkness trying to take over, trying to kill the unicorns. You got a really young Tom Cruise. It's cool. You got like bad guys and princesses, and they got to defeat this Tim Curry in one of the craziest get-ups.
Man, how great is Tim Curry?
With horns that are so big. I don't know how they put that on him and he like was able to hold up his head. But this movie, man, elves, forest people, all sorts of stuff. It's great. Total fantasy. Yeah. Also, multiple versions because it's a Ridley Scott film. There's like the theatrical cut and the director's cut and then the international cut. There's a whole bunch of cuts. Charlie, when was the last time you saw this movie?
It's been a long time. It's been a long time. I thought about this movie. I'm like, oh, Legend. That's a great fantasy movie. I think it's maybe 20 years. So I didn't put it on my list, but I'm glad you did because it's if you can run into it, I think it might be worth just checking to see if it holds up. When was the last time you watched it?
Like I said, it was about 15 years ago. It was when
15 years ago. Okay.
It was right about when Amy and I started dating.
And you haven't watched it. Okay, now you got to watch this again, bro. You can't recommend a movie that you haven't seen in 15 years. Come on.
Why not? It's a good movie.
Is it?
I still like it. Yes, I still like it. Dude, I watched this all the time when I was a kid. I loved this movie as a kid.
Yeah, I think I may have only seen this once, to be honest.
Oh,
but
really?
Tim Curry's a national treasure. So anything with Tim Curry in it's okay by me.
It's good stuff. Good stuff. Check out Legend. All right, Charlie.
Legend.
That's my number 10.
All right.
How about your number 10?
My number 10 is not nearly as fun as yours. No big giant horns, but it is the movie Palm Springs with Mr. Andy Samberg and Kristen Milotti. So look, I decided when I was making this list arbitrarily that if I had the choice, I would try to pick a movie that actually existed on one of the 5 main streaming services. So if I had a choice, but if I was picking between a couple, so this is a Hulu original movie. You can find this on Hulu. So these are actionable recommendations, because a lot of times I find myself, then you're silly. Get yourself Hulu. Brody, stop. Dude, get Hulu. What are you doing?
All the other streaming services, man.
Get Hulu, man. You got to do it for the podcast. For the podcast, bro. This is a tax write-off. This is a good movie, and like Andy and Kristen Milotti, they're fantastic. They're very funny. J.K. Simmons has never not stolen a scene in anything he's ever been in. Sure. He is just fantastic. This is another time loop movie, and I'm a sucker for time loop movies. There may be, spoiler alert, 1, possibly even 2 more time loop-ish films appearing on my list here. I think it's a fun storytelling mechanism when done properly. It doesn't automatically make anything good or great, but this is a sweet movie. It is a romantic movie. It is a great date night movie. It is fun even if you're not on a date and just want to watch a comedy that will entertain you and bring you a little bit of light into your day. These are the kind of movies I'm into these days, Brody. Give me a little romance, give me a little comedy, give me a whole lot of Andy Samberg, and I'm good, man. I'm good.
It's interesting. I wouldn't peg you as an Andy Samberg guy.
You know what? Brooklyn Nine-Nine really made me kind of enjoy him.
Okay.
So I'll be, if I'm being honest, I don't watch a lot of Saturday Night Live. I haven't watched a lot of Saturday Night Live since I was a kid. So that's not really where I got familiar with his work. But that show is a great show, and she is very funny, and I like her basically in everything she appears in as well. So. And we've already discussed my man crush on JK, so.
JK's great.
What are you going to do?
JK's great.
Right?
All right.
You're watching JK. You and me, buddy.
Number 9. I know my number 9. It's
you just know your whole list.
Willow. Use the wand, Willow. Come on. Spot on, right?
That is a very good impression. And I've decided, Brody, that if you ever want an impression of any character in any movie, I can do it. Okay. So I'm just throwing that out here now, listening to your fantastic Willow impression. If you need an impression of anybody at any time, you just let me know. Okay. I'm good to go.
Let's get a Mad Mardigan.
Oh, it's me, Mad Mardigan! Yeah, perfect. Spot on. That is 100%. That is a Mad Mardigan impression. That is perfect.
Oh, Willow. Willow's great.
Oh, it's me, Willow Offgood.
Yeah, total fantasy, man. We've got like the little brownie guys. We've got the witches and the evil queen. We've got all sorts of stuff. It's funny. When this movie came out, my mom didn't want me to see it because she didn't like the guy with the skull mask. That was the only reason. That was it.
Aww.
Eventually I got to see it because the guy wears the mask like in 2 scenes. But yeah. This is great. This is great. Old Ron Howard. It's got like the Lucas stuff. It's got a baby, really cute baby. That baby's probably like 40 years old now. But yeah, also like an awesome Val Kilmer. Dude, watching this movie as a kid, like
That's
Val
true.
Kilmer was the coolest character. Mad Mardigan was the coolest character ever.
Oh, it's me, Mad Mardigan. Yeah.
Spot on. So yeah, it's a fun fantasy adventure. Got to save a baby, got to save a princess. Lots of magic. It's great.
Right.
So, there's my number 9, Willow.
Very nice. Very nice.
Are they redoing a Willow? Are they remaking Willow?
I don't know, but I believe if you have not seen Willow and are interested based on my impression of Mad Mardigan or Brody's beautiful description of the film, it's on Disney Plus, right? That's a watchable film.
If it isn't, it probably will be soon because it was a Lucasfilm thing. So, yeah, seek it out. It's a good one.
Okay, it's a good one.
All right, my number 9, Willow. Charlie, your number 9
is Coraline. The button eyes, Brody. The button eyes. Terrifying. Absolutely terrifying.
Oh, this was super creepy.
Oh man, I love this movie. Look, I'm slipping it in here because I've been wanting to talk about Coraline on here for a long time. It doesn't. I know. I just got done saying my criteria is that I want to give you movies that you can go watch. Go watch this. You can't watch this, but still really good. There's a book. You could get the book. You could buy the book. Read the book.
Books are always better.
You could rent the movie. You can always rent it. Worth the price of admission. Look, you get older and animated movies have a different feel to them. I remember being excited to watch Pixar, even when I was in my early 20s or whatever. I don't know. How old was I when Pixar came? It doesn't matter. But and then even before kids, I'm watching Disney movies and Pixar and stuff. But there's a fine line sometimes between an enjoyable family animation and then something that a bunch of adults can get in a room and just watch. I think this tethers it. You could just watch this alone as an adult. You get a bunch of adults together and watch it in a group. You could show your kids if they're of a certain age and a certain, certain resolute proclivity for, creepy stuff. Because the button eye stuff, it gets real creepy. The voice acting, fantastic. Dakota Fanning, Keith David, you got Terry Hatcher, a bunch of great like little musical cues in there. The stop go animation is really fun. It's just a wonderful imaginative universe, and the way that the movie is constructed is just it's great. If you haven't seen it, watch it. You'll thank me. You will write me a handwritten letter because that's how much it will mean to you. You won't even type an email. You will write me thank you so much. I bought this movie on DVD and I will now write you a handwritten letter because it's all outdated technology to watch Coraline, but worth it. I got this on Netflix disc when it came out and watched it with a group of 20 somethings and we had a blast. It was fun. And my oldest son absolutely went through a real button eyes phase. And every now and then he'd get buttons and he'd put buttons on it. Button eyes, Dad.
Yeah, that's how we saw this too. Was on the DVD Netflix thing where they would send you the disc. Yeah, it was.
Early 2010s.
Is this a Henry Selick movie? The same guy that directed.
You mean Tom's brother?
Yeah, the same
No,
guy that directed Nightmare Before Christmas.
Yeah, and I will give you now a perfect Henry Selick impression.
Okay. Let's hear it.
Hello, I'm Henry Selick.
I think you're mixing him up with Tom. That sounds.
Do you like my mustache or just my brother's? I don't know.
Yeah, this is a good one. Yeah, this is super creepy.
So good.
It is. I haven't seen it in a long time since I watched it on that Netflix.
You should show the oldest.
Yeah, maybe. She might like it.
No? All right.
We'll see. I don't know.
So, and this book here written by Neil Gaiman isn't the only book of his that will be appearing on my list. So spoilers.
What else has Neil Gaiman written? I'm very curious.
Anyway, go ahead.
All right.
Onward and upward.
On to number 8. Now, I don't remember what my number 8 is.
All right, so we passed what you know, and now we're on uncharted territory.
I think I might know what it is. Yep, I was right. Pan's Labyrinth. Is this on your list, Charlie?
No.
Oh.
Can I be honest with you?
Have you seen this movie?
I have not seen it. I haven't seen it.
Man, this movie's really good. Yeah, it's that thing.
It's
that guy.
I feel a little bit embarrassed that I haven't seen it.
The eyeballs in his hands. This movie is really good. It is in subtitles, so if you don't like subtitles, if you don't like reading during movies,
I do like subtitles. I do like reading.
This movie is so good. This is, this is even creepier than Coraline, but it's you've got this girl who's you've got the little girl who's like a princess that and creatures, and she's got to go to labyrinths. She's got to go through like challenges and collect these things so that she can kind of reclaim what she is being told is like her kingdom. But like she lives in like this horrible world on the outside with like this horrible stepfather, and like it's a Guillermo del Toro movie, and so like the creatures are so good and so creepy. Like Guillermo del Toro is so good at fantasy, but he loves the really creepy stuff.
He does, yeah. I'm curious to see if one of his other films appears in your list.
We will see. But yeah, so Pan's Labyrinth. If you haven't seen this, I really recommend this one. It's
all right.
It's scary.
I'll take you to. Is it on something, Brody? It's got to be on. Is it on?
I don't know.
Netflix or HBO Max?
I
didn't.
I
will track this one down.
I didn't get that far, but yeah, this movie is really good. Really kind of sad, but it's good. And really kind of
sad,
creepy.
but good.
It's creepy and sad, but it's fantasy, and it's good. So there you go.
Creepy and sad, but good.
There you go. I don't want to say too much because I don't want to spoil it. All right.
No, absolutely.
Especially if you haven't
seen it.
I don't want to spoil it.
And I haven't, so I appreciate that. Don't spoil it for me.
No, I'm not.
Everyone else can be spoiled, but not for me. Don't you do it.
Not for you. All right.
Okay.
So there's my number 8, Pan's Labyrinth. Charlie, what's your number 8? Oh. Now this is higher on my list.
All right, then we shall wait and we shall discuss it. And then instead of that, we'll just talk about how in this background it just looks like poor Coraline's just looking at me like, what's this guy doing?
Yeah.
Number 9, she's like, it should be higher. That's what she's thinking.
It's true. All
right, then we'll save Lord of the Rings talk for later on.
Yep. All right.
Is this too low? Are you surprised that it was 8?
I am. I'm a little surprised that it's that low on the list. Yeah. I think.
Okay, we'll talk about it.
But I think that it kind of shows, just kind of the views on like fantasy, because it is so broad.
Sure.
Like you're looking at a fantasy, probably isn't exactly like mine, where that is higher on my list. So we'll get there. I don't know.
No worries. We'll talk about it. I got my reasons.
Just talking.
I'm coming in with the hot takes today,
number
bro.
7?
Fire.
What's my number 7? I don't know. It's going to be a surprise. Oh, The Princess Bride is probably higher on your list.
It is higher on my list.
Okay.
So why don't we skip on through?
All right, and we will talk about this in a little bit. Look at it. I have never seen this poster before. I love this.
You haven't?
Not this one.
Aw.
I love it. And this will be a thing throughout my list. Is I love these like 80s type drawing posters with like the figures and the heads all kind of floating. I'm a sucker for it. Such a sucker for it.
Yeah.
Man. All right.
You heard? So if anyone out there wants to draw a Talk Tuck Punch poster in that style,
oh my gosh, I would print it and hang it behind me. All right. Well, then
all right. So
moving on.
My number 7.
Number 7. Higher on my list.
All right. We're going so quick. I love it. All right.
Now, is this okay? Are you specifically talking about Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban, or are you talking more of Harry Potter kind of as a whole?
I guess Harry Potter as a whole, but I didn't want to cheat and put all of the movies in one slot. Okay. So I put the one with some time loop in it because I love me some time loop.
Of course. All right. Well, yeah, that doesn't make much of a difference. We'll talk about all Harry Potter
we'll talk
down the line. All right. Well, that was a fast number 7. Boy, oh boy, this is going to be a 30-minute episode. Number 6. I wasn't sure if we were going to have very many crossovers, Charlie. I didn't know. Apparently we do.
I'm just excited for you to put my number 1 at your number 6, so then we can just keep going.
Oh my goodness. I don't know what my number 6 is. Yes, I do. It's Big Fish.
Oh, I thought this would make your list.
Oh, man, this movie.
I really want to rewatch this, but go ahead and talk about it. But I can't wait to see this one again.
This one, okay, back in the day, I was a huge Tim Burton fan. And I think this was probably like the last really good movie that he put out. He's still doing stuff, but they've all kind of been these remakes, the Alice in Wonderlands and what was the other one that he did? I don't know. But this was like the last like original thing that he did, and it was so good. And it was about like a father and a son like reconnecting over stories, and the dad tells these tall tales about how he lived his life, and just how it all unfolds, and the ending, just like, this movie actually made me cry. Like, and then I would watch it again and I would cry again. It's not like it was the first time it caught me off guard and I was like, oh man, I wasn't expecting that. I was expecting it like every time I watched it afterwards, and yet I was still crying. Oh man, this movie's really good. Really good. So yeah, it's I don't know. It's also got Ewan McGregor. I'm a big Ewan McGregor fan.
Yeah.
I got a big man
he's
crush
great
on Ewan McGregor. So
hey, you can double date you and him, and I'll bring J.K. Simmons, and we'll just get crazy.
There we go. So there you go.
Look, this movie, like, okay, when Brody says he was a big fan, I feel like we probably toss that term around a lot. These, just for anything. Oh, I'm a big fan of this, big fan of that. Brody was a huge Burton Elfman fan, and this Big Fish soundtrack was like all he would this. We're just driving around listening to like this very sad, somber instrumental soundtrack in his car.
The soundtrack on this is so good. Listening to the soundtrack would make me
tears
cry.
in our eyes as we drive around.
Listening to the soundtrack, it would get to that ending part, and all of a sudden I'm just like, and this is, for as Tim Burton as it is, it is really kind of grounded, because ultimately, like, it is a story of a father and son. And I think when this came out, like, comparing that with my relationship with my dad and stuff like that, at the time. And so you're like it really like hit me. And so this one, but it's great, and it is fantasy, because you've got like all these tall tales and all this stuff that the dad talks about, and the stories that he would tell, and the way that Burton would just visualize them, and the way that he brought it all together in the end, so good. So.
Yeah, this is one, like, I've seen it only once, and I saw it in the theaters, I think with you most likely.
Probably.
And I enjoyed it, and I thought, that's a good little movie. That's nice. That's a nice film. And I think that if I watched it now with my dad in his twilight, and with my three sons, I think it probably would hit a little bit different. And so this is like, when I was thinking about this list, that's a movie that kept going, oh man, I want to watch that. So this didn't make my list, but I probably, after I give it another viewing, I'll be weeping and calling you and be like, Brody, Big Fish.
Yeah. So there you go.
So I'm just gonna one of these days, you got to watch Big Fish just for the halibut.
Oh, Charlie. All right. Well,
I know.
On
Sorry.
that, let's move on.
Carp. All right. Let's go.
Number 6.
Oh, that's not my number 6. Oh, I forgot my list order. All right, bro. Sorry. Okay, can we talk just briefly, real quick? I guess let me preface this. This movie, About Time, is fantastic, and it's on Netflix. It is a viewable film. You could go watch it right now. Pause the podcast, go watch it, and then come back and listen to me talk about it briefly.
I've never even heard
just
of it.
Watch it later.
Never even heard of it.
It's so good. Can I interest you in a little story about the beauty of life lived with your family, with the people you love, the simplicity of the everyday, the beauty in the everyday. This is a movie where this young man is able to, and look, I'm not going to spoil anything, but you find out right away that when the men in his family turn 21, they are able to travel through time. Now they can't like go back and, stop Hitler or do these grandiose things. They can only travel through their own life, and they can only revisit things that they can remember. So it's a chance to correct certain misgivings or mistakes along the way. And this plot device, so it's a little bit of a time loop, because you do get to see some relived moments and things like that, but in a different way, with a different convention, through the time travel. And it's just really beautiful. And it's not a very, there's not a lot of like big conflicts. There's not like a ton of like, it's not overly romantic. It's not overly dramatic. It's not overly funny. It's just a beautiful film. And I watched it and I finished. And the first thing I did was I grabbed my guitar. I'm like, I just want to sing about being alive. And just, it's just one of those, it filled me up with like warmth and good feelings about just living the everyday and finding the beauty and the simplicity of just little things. So it's a real good uplifter. The poster really makes it look like it's just a firm rom-com, and that's really not what it is at all. Like there's certainly romance in it, and you could certainly like have this be a lovely date night film, but it's really a lot more. There's a real deep father and son relationship. There's, dealing with sisters and families and life stages and kids and all sorts of things. And it's a really just a neat look at the way that we live and approach our everyday. So really cool film. And Rachel McAdams was in this movie. Yes. So, she was also in The Time Traveler's Wife.
Yes. She
was also in Doctor Strange.
Yes.
She was also in The Notebook, which, flashbacks and time story. Let me say, she's only done like 30 movies, and like 5 of them or so have to do with time. She's just traveling a lot through time. Maybe she's done less than 30 movies, and that's only just the ones that I know of. I who knows? I never saw some of her work like Everything Will Be Fine. Maybe that's a time travel movie. Rachel McAdams, time travel actress extraordinaire. If you are writing a time travel film, please consider Rachel McAdams for the lead.
She is great.
There you go.
Rachel McAdams is great. All right.
She's great. And Margot Robbie even is in this movie.
Oh, really? Who's the guy? Is he anybody?
He's not. I mean, he's nobody. He doesn't even exist. He's a computer generated actor. In fact, all redheads are computer generated. It's part of the simulation that we all live in. No, he's not someone you've heard of, but he does a great job in this. So he's British. Do you know Bill Nye?
The science guy? No. Yes.
I know.
Yes, I know Bill Nye.
I'm not sure that's how you pronounce his name. I know, like we gotta go to name pronouncing class. Like we just have to have like a little session where we just look at every name that exists and just kind of
like the Bill Nye from Shaun of the Dead and Pirates of the Caribbean and stuff like that.
Yeah, so he's the dad in this. It's a Richard Curtis. Richard Curtis wrote it and directed it. He's the guy that did like Notting Hill, Love Actually. So it's just like it's funny, it's witty, but it's not. It's a beautiful film. Watch it. Much better than those other two. I'm not a big Love Actually fan though, so that's not.
I never saw that one.
It's a low bar.
Actually, I think I did see it.
See this one.
I think I saw part of it.
You should watch this with Amy and thank me later. But watch it all the way through. Give it a chance.
All right. All right, number 5. I know my number 5. Yep, Edward Scissorhands. You knew. I thought this would be higher. I thought it'd be higher. I thought this would be like number 3. I'm surprised because 5's not like it's low, but yeah. No, this is a great fantasy fairy tale. Inventor makes this guy, and then he's scooped up by suburban life, and he's kind of brought out of his element and into this suburban world, but he never fits in. This is a really great movie. Man, I hope everybody has seen this movie. It's really good. It's really sweet. It's what?
I was just thinking about how long it's been.
Oh.
Since I watched
thought you meant
it.
The movie was really long. I was like,
oh no, sorry. I'm just muttering.
I don't remember it being
Don't pay
that
attention
long.
to me.
It's a 3.5-hour movie.
Yeah.
But no, it's great. You know, you got a young Johnny Depp, you got a young Winona Ryder. Like it's
Anthony Michael Hall is a bully, right?
Yeah, right. Yeah. So this is great. This is another Tim Burton. This is very much Tim Burton. Like with the, you know, like Edward Scissorhands like is Tim Burton. He's got the crazy hair. He's just like wrapped up in like leather and buckles, and yeah, it's good, and it's sweet, and it's touching, and it is like a fairy tale. So this is one that I have enjoyed for many, many years. I think I saw this in theaters back in like 1990 maybe. It's like 90 or 91 maybe. Yeah, probably around there because Batman was 89 and then Batman Returns was 92. So this was 90 or 91. So that was a long time ago. But this still a great movie. This holds up really well.
Yeah, 90.
Yeah. Yeah, this holds up.
It's
really
it's a nice movie. I know he wrote this like based on his own experiences growing up in Pasadena and feeling like an outcast, and you know, so it has that kind of fish out of water energy. And if you watch any of Tim Burton's old short films, like the Frankenweenie and things, like you can get a feel for the kind of kid he probably was. And why he might feel out of place in like plastic Pasadena.
Oh yeah. So this is a great one. If you haven't seen this movie because it's old or you just haven't heard of it, go watch it, man. This movie
watch it.
Is solid.
Yeah, man.
Solid. This movie is. All right, that's my number 5, Charlie. Your number 5 is. Oh,
Princess Bride.
Oh, Princess Bride.
Now we can talk about it.
You or me? It's your number 5.
I kind of thought you were about to say stuff, but I guess that makes sense. I don't know. You had it on your list first. Defend your low ranking.
Low? I had it at like number 7 or 8. I don't even remember now. This is how quickly these things just like they're there and then they're just gone. No, this is a great movie. This is a total fantasy, another fairy tale. You got princesses, you got evil princes, you got giants, you got swashbucklers and pirates and sword fights, and you're living in, you're in this world, and you've got giant rats and scary forests and all that stuff. This is great. People with 6 fingers on their hand.
My name is Inigo Montoya. You killed my father. Prepare to die.
Yeah. So this is a great one. It's a great fantasy movie. It's
a fun one. Music for me has always been more of that like time machine like device, like artistically speaking. I hear a song and I can like feel like instantly transported to like the time where I was listening to that artist or the particular music. Like it really sets these different eras of my life apart and segments them. And I feel like, when I listen to certain bands or certain songs, I'm like there mentally. I can just there aren't a lot of movies that do that for me. Like movies I don't have like strong emotional connections to. But this is one that just if I ever think about it or it comes on, it just reminds me of being a kid at home, like sick, or like just a rainy day and just popping on like a feel good kind of like comfort movie. And so I there's like this little warmth of my childhood that's wrapped into this. It's a very quotable film.
It is.
Look, it kind of like defines a little bit of the genre and subverts a little bit of the genre. Billy Crystal's in it. And, I have a thing for him.
Sure do.
But like there's some, as I've gotten older, there's, the whole damsel in distress thing, and poor Robin Wright Penn's character is just like so one-dimensional and flat, and I don't know. There's some things that have shoveled this down the list to number 5, but even with some of its problems, it's still like just warms the depths of my heart just thinking about little Charlie sitting in his room popping on a little Princess Bride on a sad rainy day or a day home from school and just getting a little bit of laughter and a little bit of feel good. And
it's also got
this is on Disney Plus, and it's also on, I think it's also on Hulu and Disney Plus. So
wow. Yeah, it also has Andre the Giant, which
Anybody want the peanut?
As a kid who was watching wrestling at the time, Andre was always a bad guy, right?
Conceivable.
So here he's a good guy.
Not so fun fact, but a fact nonetheless. In my high school German class, which was just a huge mistake to take German in high school, and if you're watching this and you haven't picked a language yet, maybe you're going into high school, please pick a language that you'll use, because 3 years of German was just a huge waste. But I did perform the scene where they're doing their battle of wits in German, and that was a lot of fun.
Do it.
And,
do it now.
I have forgotten more German than most people will ever learn. So, ich habe eine Affe in meinen Hosen. Das ist nicht so gut. So, there you go.
There you go. All right.
An uninteresting story to wrap up the movie. And on we go. Top 4, baby.
Number 4. Boy, we are just blowing through this one. Okay. My number 4...
I have no idea what you're about to... Is it going to be Lord of the Rings? No, you probably put that too. Can't be Harry Potter. It's got to be Tim Burton. Is it Tim Burton?
I don't know what this is. I have no clue what this is.
Show the people.
Oh,
Show the people.
I do. It's Ghostbusters.
Oh, I see.
Now, after we talked about what a fantasy movie was, I actually just watched this with my kids this weekend. Because my 2 sons have been obsessed with the song, right? Like all the time. They're like, "Hey Google, play the Ghostbusters theme song," just like over and over again. So finally, oh no, it's gonna start playing. Stop, Google. Never mind. You're gonna get us a copyright if you start playing that song. And so I was giving them haircuts, and I was like, normally when I give them haircuts, they get to watch a movie. So they were like, "Can we watch Ghostbusters?" And I was like, "Sure, it's in the middle of the day. If you get kind of scared, like it's not right before bed, so we'll go ahead and watch this." And man, this movie is so solid. Like this movie, it's like the humor is there. There was a couple parts that I forgot about with the kids that I was like, I probably should have like fast forward about 10 seconds, but whatever. But it's so good. And so you have the ghosts where, that brings in the fantasy. That's my fantasy link is the ghosts. And you've got,
if you assume ghosts aren't real, but
we talked about technology, but these are like, they even say they're like nuclear things on their back. Like, so I'm counting it as fantasy, whatever.
Yeah. Look, don't be deterred by the fact that I had this on my sci-fi top 10 list. So it can be
sci-fi
because
fantasy.
It can really be. It absolutely can be either. It's a comedy, it's a supernatural, sci-fi fantasy.
And it
100%.
And it works for all of those genres. And
it does. It does.
And it's great. You've got Rick Moranis.
It is great.
Like Rick Moranis is so good in this movie. And Sigourney Weaver is like the entire cast from top to bottom is so good. Like, so when I was a kid growing up, when I was sick, a lot of times I would watch Ghostbusters. And it was like, and it was a movie that like I was allowed to watch and just so good. And so like it holds up so well just watching it this past weekend. I'm watching it and I'm cutting their hairs and like watching and listening and doing all this stuff. And I'm like, man, this movie like holds up so well. And I'm still laughing at the jokes and I'm still laughing at Rick Moranis. And yes, like the special effects they're not like super great. When the dog is running across the street, my kids are like, well, that's special effects. And I'm like, yeah, shut up. and
get back.
All this stuff. But this movie, man, so good. So good. So there's my number 4 is Ghostbusters. Now this didn't make your list.
It did because it was on my sci-fi list. So it's not like I don't like it or wouldn't rank within these the hollowed top 10. It certainly would. It just I already used it for for a different list. So
Gotcha.
Unfortunately, now can I ask you a quick question? Just on a because you mentioned that you watched this while giving your kids haircuts.
Yeah.
So I know you're a big fan of hair. So how does that work? So when there's just like clumps of hair coming off your kid's head, does it not bother you like the sweeping up of all that hair, or is it only when it's wet and soggy and in a drain and a clump that it gets to you? Is it just falling loose hair is fine, or is it is it the clumping together of the moist wet hair? Is it moist hair?
Stop, Charlie. Stop. Okay. To answer your question without looking at your screen, because I can't handle that picture. Oh gosh.
The people want to know.
Okay. Talking about this is going to make me want to gag. But like it's like the long hair that's wet if it like gets in your between your fingers and stuff like that. It's long hair like getting between your fingers and stuff like that. My kid's hair, I keep it short, and so really it's like me using clippers, and so it just comes off, and it's like really short, and then I take it off, I trim the top, and then it just kind of falls, and I then just like throw it all away.
Okay, that's fair. All of Brody's kids actually have their heads completely shaved. They all just look like Brody. The whole family is just a bunch of right to the scalp. Is this bothering? I can change the picture. Is this bothering you? I'm sorry.
Yeah, because we're moving on to year number 4, so you got to change your picture.
All right. I'm changing my background.
Oh man, my wife's gonna kill me that I didn't put this on the list. I totally forgot.
Oh, not on your list.
I totally forgot about this movie. I totally forgot about it.
Another Neil.
I'm in so much
Neil Gaiman
trouble.
Book. Oh, you're busted, man. This is a beautiful movie.
This is the Neil Gaiman. This is man.
Number 2. This is a great fantasy film. Come on, Brody. Come on, you got to admit it.
No, this should have been on my list. This should have been. What was my number 10? It was Legend. You can knock Legend off and put this. I don't know where. That's too much thinking. Go ahead and talk about it.
Look, this is a very fun, romantic, creative, entertaining, funny film. And if you've never seen it, it is on Netflix. I would just say watch it. You don't need me to tell you it's great. It's great. You can go read some critics' reviews. They'll all tell you it's great. It's a fun little movie, and it's got a great cast from Claire Danes to Robert Bobby De Niro over there going, yeah, I'm in this movie. Yeah, feel good about it. That's a perfect Robert De Niro. Oh yeah, I mean, come on, the list goes on. We could just sit here. I could just read you the credits, and you'd be like, wow, that's a lot of wonderful actors and actresses, and you'd be right. It's a great script. It's an engaging fantasy film, and I think it has surpassed The Princess Bride for like my go-to kind of like sweeping fairy tale-ish action adventure fantasy. So really good. Watch it.
And this, oh gosh, keep talking about it, Charlie. Who is the director?
You're trying to punch up your IMDb being trying to be quick about it?
Yeah, I was. Who is
You're doing great, bud.
Yeah, Matthew Vaughn. Okay. Yeah, Matthew Vaughn. Like, I'm a big fan of Matthew Vaughn. I blanked on his name, so I'm obviously a big fan. But
obviously. Huge fan.
But yeah,
are you excited for Flash Gordon?
Is he doing a Flash Gordon movie?
He's producing one. Yeah. It's been announced. We'll see.
But yeah,
Kick-Ass was great. First Class. Yeah.
It's
Layer Cake was fun.
It's odd to watch Charlie Cox in movies now after watching him do Daredevil and pretending to be blind, where he just looks off, because sometimes if he's just like looking, you're like, he's blind. He's not really blind, but he did such a good job playing a blind guy. that sometimes he just gets that look, and you're like, yeah, Daredevil.
Daredevil. I hope they bring him back for stuff.
I think they are. That's what the rumors say. But anyways, yeah, this is a great movie. Great movie. Should have made my list.
How happy Claire is. This is the happiest I've ever seen Claire Danes. If you watch anything Claire Danes is in, she's usually crying. She's very upset. They always give her roles of like just she's making a face. My wife was watching a lot of the Homeland, and every time I walked in a room, Claire Danes was just doing this face like scrunched and like very upset, like just whatever was happening. Like, she's constantly like solving these terrorist plots and no one's believing her and they all think she's crazy. I don't know. She does that role very well, but it's nice to see her smiling. Good for you, Claire. Go get yours.
There you go. So it's funny because my wife puts these slideshows together so that we don't see each other's lists, so that we can actually be surprised. And I heard her say while she was putting yours together, she said, "Man, Charlie is really just the male me." So,
aww.
Yeah, so I think
she's the best.
It must have been when she got here that because
yeah, probably.
She will just like turn this movie on. You could like anytime you're like, let's watch Stardust, and she'll drop everything and be like, yes, let's watch it.
Oh, I'm in.
So
all right, so good. Your wife's got exceptional taste.
You are just the male version of my wife.
All
right,
I'll take that.
All right, number 3. I know my number 1 and 2.
I'm so excited. Yeah, I know 2 of your 3, but I don't know what your third one is. Is this the one I don't know?
I don't know. What is?
Okay, click it. Let's go. Let's go. I'm excited. Right. Come on.
Oh, that's right. Beauty and the Beast.
Of course. Of
course. This is, yeah.
I should have known.
So Beauty and the Beast is like a big thing in my house, in my marriage, me and my wife. Like, I know I've talked about this before. Like the Beauty and the Beast song was our dance at our wedding. It's my wife's favorite Disney movie. It's my favorite Disney movie. And so like it just works out. I'm obviously very hairy, so I'm like the Beast. My wife is super hot, so she's like Belle. And so she
likes to read. She's very smart. You kidnapped her and made her stay at your house for months before she fell in love with you.
Exactly.
Lots of similarities.
Yeah, there's a magical rose, all sorts of stuff. And so
does Tudong ever remind you of Gaston?
All the time.
Okay. Yeah. All right.
So growing up, the cartoon Beauty and the Beast is my favorite Disney movie. And then this came out, and I think this one might actually have an edge on the cartoon one. I know like not everybody liked this one. I really liked this one. I thought that this filled in a lot of like weird things that the cartoon doesn't address. And sure, they just say like, "Oh, magic." And it's kind of like, good enough for me.
Magic.
Well, he's a prince of what? He's a prince of what? Why does nobody know that there's a prince that's living like 20 minutes away? Oh, magic.
He's a prince of magic.
All right, that makes sense now. But this one is great. We got Emma Watson, who I think did a really good job. You got Dan Stephen, who I thought did a really good job. You got Ewan McGregor. I've talked about my love of Ewan McGregor. Yeah, I thought that this was really good. It did a really good job. You got the classic fairy tale, the Beauty and the Beast stuff, fantasy, all the way. Talking objects, magic, all that stuff. So yeah. Did you see this one, Charlie?
I've seen the cartoon.
Oh, you should watch this one. I really liked it. Obviously.
I know you told me to watch the TV show that was on the Beauty and the Beast TV show. You said you're a big fan of that, but I haven't gotten to that either. So,
the one with Ron Perlman?
I'm going to say yes, but just know that I'm saying yes simply because you said someone's name. I'm aware of who Ron Perlman is. I have no idea if he was in that show. You could have said anybody. The one with Billy Boys? And I would have said, yeah, Billy Boys. That guy.
Are you talking about like the really old show? from the 80s?
I think so.
Then yes.
Or 90s or whatever.
Yeah, that was Ron Perlman was the Beast.
Okay. I didn't realize there had been multiple live action Beauty and the Beasts.
I don't
TV
know.
shows, that is.
I don't know. There might like this. I wouldn't be surprised if the CW put one on or something like that. And they were all teenagers.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, but there we go.
But
Brody style hunks.
no.
So all right. So on to my number
there we
3
go.
then.
Yeah, you're number 3.
All right. Is a movie that you've never heard of.
I've heard of this. Give me some credit.
You
Come
have?
on now. Yes, I've heard of this.
But I'll give you credit if you've seen it. I'm not going to give you credit because you claim to have heard of it.
I don't think I've seen it.
Yeah. This is a fantastic movie. I forgot how much I loved this movie until I made my wife watch it with me. We were low on data because where I live, there's a monopoly, and it's a long story, and I hate my internet provider. And yes, if you're watching as an entire company, our city's taking you to court to try to break up your monopoly. You're going down.
Oh, really?
I cannot wait. I could zoom in on the town hall. I might, just to rant a little bit. I'd be that crazy guy in a Zoom call, just yelling about his internet. Yay! So it's entirely possible. But this movie, we popped in the DVD and just watched it, and I fell in love with it all over again. Albert Brooks and Meryl Streep are a revelation. This is a movie that simply is about what happens after you die, and essentially you are judged on a series of days in your life. There's like what we might consider to be lawyers, or at least us little brains might consider to be lawyers. That's an inside joke if you've seen the movie, because we don't use a lot of our brain on Earth, but they sure do in the afterlife. Anyway, and then you kind of go through, and it's really all about fear. How much fear did you live your life in? And if you have lived your life, in such a way that you have proven that you are kind of you've conquered your fears, you get to advance to a higher plane of existence. And if you don't, then you are shuttled back to Earth and kind of reincarnated. And Albert Brooks plays a neurotic guy better than anybody on the planet, and he plays it to perfection in this. And Meryl Streep is just always amazing. Meryl, I love you. I know she's a big fan. She watches. She's a big fan, and I know this movie is so fun. This is not on any streaming services, unfortunately, but this is such a good movie. I will host anyone watching this that wants to come watch this. You come over to my house, I will host you. I will cook you a big spaghetti dinner, which will make sense once you've watched some of this movie, and we will just eat like 9 pies, and we will have the best time because it is a great movie. You'll laugh, you'll cry, you'll fall in love, and you will be challenged. Like a lot of the movies on my list, I like movies that kind of push me to think about the way that we live, to live your life maybe with a little less fear and a little bit more, yes, I can, and just kind of giving yourself a little bit more credit and a little bit more forgiveness, a little bit more grace, and just trying to be the best version of yourself that you can be. It's a really fun movie, and it's one that it kind of gets you excited about. Like, oh man, how great would it be to be able to eat whatever we want and not gain any weight? Like fun little afterlife little quivers. So nice. Anyway, defending your life. They're both looking at me and they're saying, "Thank you for putting me on this list." Hey. You're welcome.
Albert Brooks looks kind of annoyed.
That tracks. I'll just stay here like this then.
Meryl Streep, though, she looks happy to be looking at you.
She's excited to be on. This is maybe her first time on a TTP list, but it won't be the last.
No,
it's not. No, I had Postcards from the Edge on the list. I love Meryl. Meryl, she's a national treasure.
There you go. All right.
Go ahead on your next one. I'm just going to stay here.
Now, I know my top 2, Charlie.
Yeah, you do. Oh, yeah. We're about to get into it. All right, let's do it.
Here we go. So, Harry Potter. Now, you could do Harry Potter as a whole, which I think is valid. It's one big story.
Is it your favorite?
The Sorcerer's Stone? No, it's not my favorite movie of all of them.
Okay. Okay.
But I think as a fantasy movie, because this one sets up everything, you really get that exposure to like everything. You get that kind of extended Dursley's scene in the beginning with all the owls and the letters and the going to like a random island. You get the introduction to Diagon Alley, the introduction to Hogwarts. It really like establishes the whole world, and I feel like that really is the most fantasy of all the other movies, because of the way that it's like, here is everything that you've never seen. We're putting all this together. Here's what it looks like. Also, like I said, I'm a sucker for the artist floating heads posters. And after like I think starting at number 3, they kind of stopped this style of poster and just went with actors standing there. But you know, floating heads that are drawn. Love them.
Floating heads.
I love them. So yeah. So, you know, I could talk about the whole series. You put number 3. Number 3 is probably one of my favorites. It might be my favorite movie. I don't know if it's my favorite book, but it might be my favorite movie, because it's really good. They cut a lot out, and that's, you know, if I have any criticism of the movies, it's that so much got cut out. So that's why we need a TV show of Harry Potter.
Yes, please.
But yeah, you know, you've got wizards and witches and goblins and elves and schools and good guys and bad guys and guys that you aren't sure if are good or bad, and you've got dementors, and like all of this fantasy stuff is shoved in here in this big story. And it's not like this clogged thing, because you have so many movies that you get to like sprinkle this stuff in. You know, dementors show up in like number 3, and then other people show up in, you know, you have giants, you know, that are going to show up later, and all this stuff. And so this, even though this is still on Earth and all that stuff, this really is like fantasy to me.
Oh yeah. I mean, 100%.
And I love it.
This is square in that fantasy sweet spot. Look, I had this a little lower on my list, and just simply because I think this and Lord of the Rings, we'll talk about in a minute, I think both just kind of suffered for me from the fact that there isn't like one movie that really like stands out as being like, this is the movie. You know, like it's a series, it's a universe that exists, and specifically the Harry Potter, it's a universe that I enjoy, but it's not like this one movie. Like I put Prisoner of Azkaban on there. It's a fine movie, but like watching that just by itself feels weird. Like I was put on number 3.
You can't just watch Prisoner of Azkaban.
Yes, and then walking away. And so it got shuffled down a little bit on my list. We're not doing whole franchises. We're trying to do single movies. Yeah. So like it'd be fun. Maybe we'll do a full Harry Potter episode, because this is a franchise I think that is really easy to fall in love with. And I think that there are also some like real criticisms that you could kind of levy at it, and some of the way that it's done and written. And there are some like some kind of gaping holes in places, some things that I really love, and some things that, I think you can say that about any movie and about any franchise. It's just we haven't talked about this one yet. So I think it'd be kind of fun to maybe have a little more discussion about our little boy in glasses. But what a fun universe. Yeah, like a really, really, what a wonderful, hey, it's magical, right?
It is.
What are we saying here?
It is. And me, and like
Harry Potter, I'm Richard Harris. Oh, call me Dumbledore. Yes.
Do you know that when Richard Harris died, he told them to not recast Dumbledore?
Yeah, and by the way, if anyone,
that's what I read, and it's like,
look, there's no harm in telling, if you're just alone in a room with Richard Harris and he's dying, he's like, please. As my dying wish, don't recast Dumbledore. You say, of course we won't, Richard. The role dies with you, and then you're like, all right, he's dead. We need a new Dumbledore. Let's go. You don't say no, Richard. Sorry, with your last dying breath, we're gonna recast this, and we're gonna bring in a whole bunch of Richard Harris types, and we're gonna make you watch us cast him.
Oh man,
poor Richard Harris.
But yeah,
he was way better than the other.
I just got done rereading this whole series, and man, it's so.
Did you really?
Yeah, and like my kids are reading the series right now, and so Really, just my older two are going through it, and so when my oldest has read all of them, and so when my next oldest kind of finishes a book, we all watch that movie because they can't see the movies until they read the books, and so it's been fun to like, since I've reread it now, and then they're rereading it or they're reading it for the first time, and then we're watching the movies. It's still great, man. These are so good, so good, so good. So there is my number 2, Harry Potter.
Oh man, I forgot. I still have a number 2. I was thinking like,
sure
okay,
do.
we're gonna talk about Lord of the Rings.
No, you got your
I forgot.
number 2.
Ah, I love my number 2.
Oh, I thought about putting this on my list.
So Scott Pilgrim vs. the World, available on Netflix to stream. I just rewatched this like last week, and I'd forgotten how much I loved it.
I want to rewatch it.
It is so fun. Oh, it is so fun.
I want to see this again.
It is like a really just enjoyable movie across the board. It's funny. I love just all the little subtle things that are in the movie, the way that stylistically the way it's done. It all holds up. It all holds up. And I love the origin stories for some of this stuff, and Michael Cera and the whole cast actually is really great. Can I interest you in a little bit of Anna Kendrick, Alison Pill, Aubrey Plaza, Mary Elizabeth Winstead, Jason Schwartzman, Chris Evans, and the list goes on and on. Even one of the Culkin brothers is in it. So there you go. But it's really fun. Edgar Wright is fantastic. Wright. We both love Edgar Wright. And this speaks to me on a lot of different levels. I know the way that this was described is kind of like a musical, but instead of it building to the crescendo of a musical number, it builds to like an arcade style fight. That was kind of like the vision behind the comic. There's just like, he's going to battle, and then there was anyway. There's a whole bunch of fun backstory. I'm about to nerd out all over the place, but I guess I won't do that. But if you haven't seen this, like, just watch it. It's really cool. Even Brie Larson is in it. Like, there's just your boy Brandon Ralph, Superman. What's his name?
Yeah, I think it's Ralph. I think it's pronounced Ralph. Roth? No, it's Ralph. It's Ralph. It's Ralph. It's like mouth. Ralph like mouth. Okay. If anyone can recommend a good name pronunciation school for us, that would just be good. We just we're not good at it, and it's really suffering. So, it's okay. But anyway, yeah. So, when was the last time you watched this? Theaters.
Oh, not since then. Oh, you have to watch it again.
Yeah.
I
did read the books.
Oh, did you? Okay, so I know O'Malley, the guy who wrote it, was like he was dating his future wife, and she had a bunch of ex-boyfriends named Matthew, and so he came up with the idea of like the League of Matthews, and thought it would be like, and then that kind of spun into this like the evil exes and things. That it's just a really kind of creative storytelling device, and it just works so well in this movie. I don't think every like comic book like to movie translates really well. I think MCU's really found a wonderful way to do that and bring to life some of these comic books, but there's been a lot of like these like little one-offs that just didn't land, and just this is so good. So if you've never seen it, watch it. Treat yourself. It's funny. You're gonna laugh. It's funny. It's very funny.
It is, and with all of the way that Edgar Wright does this, I don't know if it would have worked with any other director.
Agreed.
The way that he does his cuts, the way that he puts things to music, like this, it wouldn't have worked with another director. And it's great.
Yeah, the music's really good.
You get the music, you get a lot of video game, stuff in it, and yeah, this is, I considered this, but I didn't put it on solely because I haven't seen it since I saw it in theaters. But I remember watching it and being like, oh, that was really good.
There's a scene where Michael Cera's playing guitar for a girl, and he's like, I wrote you a song, and he's like singing her a song, and she's kind of like, kind of quietly singing it and kind of playing through the chords, and she's like, oh, that's good. I can't wait to hear it when it's all finished. And he kind of like quietly says, it is finished. And it's one of the most like relatable moments I've ever, it's like, it's like, oh, that's so, writing a song for a girl and playing it for her, that is, and then just being like, and she's like, oh, okay, that's great. Can't wait to hear the final thing. Oh, that was it. There's just moments like that. Oh man. And the stuff with the band, it's just like, it really speaks to me on a lot of levels. So
sure.
But worth a watch, even if you've never been in a band like Sex Ba-Bomb. It is a good movie.
There you go. All right,
number one, bro. Let's do this thing.
One. Now, mine is obvious. I have no idea what yours is. All right, well, let's get through mine. Lord of the Rings.
Lord of the Rings.
To me, when I think of fantasy, when we talked about doing fantasy movies, like this was the first thing that came to mind. And
sure.
And similar to Harry Potter, I could talk about all 3 of them. I could talk about all 6 of them if you want to throw Hobbit in there.
Oh, jeez. I don't.
But really, like similar to Harry Potter, right? We've got Fellowship of the Ring, and this is what kind of establishes everything. You've got this world. We get the elves, we get the hobbits, we get the bad guy, we get the humans, we get all this stuff. We get the Balrog, we get Gandalf, and it's really like, here is what we have, and here's what we're presenting to you. And it is this, like with the orcs and the goblins, like this is the ultimate fantasy movie to me. And this is a really good movie. Like this, Amy and I watched this recently, and this holds up for me like really well. We're also reading through the books, and that's fun and all. Books are a little slow, but the movie, like,
the books are slow, huh?
Books are slow, yeah. Yeah. So it's this one, Fellowship, like set everything up. Fellowship isn't my favorite of the trilogy. I would probably go with Return of the King as my favorite of the trilogy. But, when I'm thinking of fantasy movies, because this is the one that sets everything up, like Return of the King, we get all of the humans and the kingdoms and stuff like that, and we get the big climax. But like this was the one that established that whole world for everybody that maybe hadn't read the books. And so there's my number one, Lord of the Rings, to me the ultimate fantasy movie.
While I don't disagree with much of what you said, this movie almost didn't make my list.
Really?
And look, this is like, okay, if I was doing a top 10 favorite foods and I was just writing things on a list, instantaneously, probably I would put steak somewhere on that list. Okay. Love steak.
Yeah.
But do I love steak? Because I don't eat steak very often. Now, I love carne asada tacos, absolutely. But a big, meaty porterhouse steak or some kind of New York strip, don't eat it very often. It's expensive. It's very meaty. Oh, you don't eat steak very often, Brody. And if I said what this movie reminds me of isn't just steak, but like one of those food eating challenges where you're eating like a 50-pound steak. So not only do you have to like steak, but you have to eat just a tremendous amount of meat. You're eating a cow. This is the entirety of a beast that you are going to sit down. Not only am I watching a 3.5-hour movie, I'm watching three 3.5-hour movies. That is you have 10 hours to devour 50 pounds of beef. And it's like, I like steak. I like Lord of the Rings. I like that I've seen Lord of the Rings. I'm glad Lord of the Rings exists. But am I going to sit down anytime in the next 5 to 10 years and relive the extended edition of these trilogies? Yes. Brody, I had to get up from my couch and put in a second DVD just to watch one of those movies. I can't even. What is that? What come on. These are great movies. They're great. Steak is great. But too much of a good thing. And so you're saying, okay, well, don't watch it all in one sitting. And sure, I'm not going to watch all 3 of these in one sitting because I can't. Oh, please. You can't even stay up past 8 o'clock. You're going to watch all 3 of these in one sitting. Yeah. All right. You know what? The challenge has been laid. You pick a day, and I want your wife to film you periodically throughout you watching all 3 of these in a row, no breaks.
It's like
not so confident anymore.
No, I would.
You get one pee break per movie.
Per movie? Come on.
Per movie. That's 3 P's in 9 hours. That's nothing. I believe 10 hours. It's 11 hours.
I believe that the extended edition of Lord of the Rings, all 3 of them, is about 12 hours. So what would be a reasonable thing? To start at like 7 in the morning and go until 7 at night, maybe?
I mean, that doesn't sound reasonable to me, but if that sounds reasonable to you, then I mean, maybe you and I have different definitions of the word reasonable. That certainly sounds like a lot of work to watch 3 very long movies, but I'm all for it. Yes, 12 hours, 7 to 7. Are you going to do it?
I might.
This would be a great episode. Oh my God. I would love your wife. Amy's got to film you like periodically throughout.
With your steak analogy, like if that steak is so good, I will keep eating that steak. And granted,
no, you won't, because you'll get full. You'll get full, and you won't want any more. I've watched you eat. You eat like a little bird.
It's
like a little bird.
Movies, you don't actually get full. You don't get physically full where you're gonna throw up. It's not like, oh my God.
No, you do.
About 6 hours, and I need to vomit now. That doesn't happen.
When we finally get to the end of like the first movie, and nothing happens, they just get like in a little boat and sail away. I physically throw up.
No,
like what is this?
No, you don't.
11sies. It's time for second lunch and breakfasties. And 3 people are walking, and I am throwing up.
Don't diss Treebeard. Treebeard is great, man.
I'm so excited. Brody, I'm so excited to have you do this. This will be a fantastic episode. I cannot wait for you to do this. This is the Lord of the Rings challenge. Will you at home do this with Brody? Because I will not. But will you at home, and then you have to watch the Hobbit movies.
What do you mean you won't do it? I just watched the.
I'm not going to watch.
I just watched the Hobbit movies recently. I watched.
No, in one sitting. I want you to go from 7 a.m. You're watching all 3 Lord of the Rings extended editions, and then all the Hobbit movies.
That's a lot, Charlie.
All right, fine. Just the Lord of the Rings movies. Okay. All right. I'm gonna tell you 2 quick Lord of the Rings stories unrelated to my feelings on steak and Lord of the Rings. Number 1 is I was dating a girl right around the time that the first Lord of the Rings came out, and she was like a huge Lord of the Rings fan. She was so excited, and she's like, "I'm going opening night with some friends," and she's like, "I wish you could come." And I'm like, "Oh, I can't come. I don't have any tickets, or it's sold out or whatever." And then I find out that I can get in. I got some tickets from my buddy hookup, JoJo, yep. Or some I don't know. So I got some tickets. So I call her up and I'm like, all right, if I have tickets to this and I'm going, will you sit with me? She's like, of course. And I was like, well, turns out I'm going. I go. She doesn't sit with me. She sits like 5 rows up. Wants nothing to do with me. I watched this like whole I've gone through all this trouble to maneuver my schedule to get tickets just so I could be there, just so I could be totally ignored 6 rows back while she watches it with like 6 other dudes. It was great. The entire cast of Lord of the Rings was with her that night, and I was just off by myself in the back. Second story, my little sister decides for her birthday she wants to take me and my sister and my mom to watch Lord of the Rings. My mom has heightened ear sensitivities.
Oh, no.
So I'm like, this can be disaster. I'm trying to talk her out. I'm like, you don't want our mom to come to watch this. This is going to be terrible. She's like, no. I want everyone there. I want to have these memories and blah, blah, blah. So we go there and we sit there and I'm like, okay, I'm not sitting next to my mom because she's going to be terrible the whole movie. So I sit on the far end, and the whole time, as soon as the movie starts, she's like this. And just got her ears covered, and she's loud. Oh, why so loud? And just like, and loudly like, oh no, how long is the movie? And just covering her ears, and just screaming and going through. How much? And it's a lot. It's three movies, movie. 3 hours of this. Oh, it's so long. And and every now and then she looks down the road. She's just like, and for 3 hours she's got her hands on her ears. Just like, and after the movie she was like shell shocked. It was like she had been to war. She's jittery. She's like, that was the worst experience. It's a great impression of my mother. It's just how she said, that was the worst experience of my life. I don't understand why the movie had to be so loud. You know, and just like just jittery and shaking, and it was like just the worst movie experience I've ever had in a theater. Oh my God, it was terrible. So. But you know, that's not why I'm not as big a fan as I used to be. But it didn't help.
Oh man, yeah. Well, I'd be tempted to do a marathon.
Not would be. You are locked into this. We are doing this. You are doing a 12-hour marathon of this, and I cannot wait for it.
Maybe if we get more subscribers and
no, don't start backing out already. You cannot back down already. No. I'm not letting that happen. This is locked in.
But this is great.
All right, time to my number one.
This is my number one, Lord of the Rings. Your number one.
All right.
What is your number one? I don't think
you should know my number one.
Should I?
Yeah, you should. You're gonna be like, oh, of course.
Do. It's Groundhog Day.
It's Groundhog Day. Now you've heard me talk about this on my favorite movies of all time, so I'm not gonna bore you with more Groundhog Day talk. I'm just gonna say I love me some Bill. I love me some Groundhog. This is a fantastic movie. This is the godfather of all time loop movies. Go and see it. And I'm gonna do a perfect Groundhog. So, if for some reason you haven't seen Groundhog Day, please watch it and then send me a message. I told you you'd handwrite something. This one, no, it's not. It's not.
It's not? Really?
It's not. Yeah. I almost booted it off the list. Look, if you have Stars on Amazon Prime, you can watch this for free. But
Stars. Nobody has Stars.
If you add a streaming service to your streaming service, then you can totally watch it, and it might be worth it just for a little bit of this and a little bit of that and a whole lot of this.
It's great.
So anyway,
fantastic.
It's a fun movie, and we don't need to talk. Either Groundhog Day, see it. Let's go back to making sure that Brody goes through with his challenge. Brody, you gotta do the 12-hour challenge.
They say it's
got to be done.
They say it's on Hulu Premium.
Well, that's a secondary subscription on your Hulu.
Oh, really?
So you have, so Hulu Premium is like essentially like a cable package. So it's like YouTube TV or like, so you would get access to like all the like cable TV content and things like that.
That's lame.
So it's a different experience. Well, it's not lame. It's just a different subscription experience.
No, it's lame.
Hulu's fantastic. Hulu sponsors our podcast, and I will not stand for you besmirching the name of Hulu. By the way, I'm so irritated with HBO Max, who put the Harry Potter movies on for like a month,
30 days.
Like it's so dumb.
Because
why?
Peacock did the same thing. It's on HBO and Peacock at the same time for just June. I don't know why. It's HBO, who owns Harry Potter, because they're Warner Brothers movies, is like, we signed all these deals and it's got to show up on the Sci-Fi Channel next. And it's like, oh my gosh, man.
It's irritating.
It is irritating.
Yeah, look, HBO Max also has the Lord of the Rings movies on there. So if you are into that, if you want to do the 12-hour challenge with Brody, HBO Max is the place to go.
Extended editions?
That's a great question. I did not look that up, but I know you have the DVDs, so
I do.
If they're not the extended edition on there,
those DVDs are some of the nicest box DVDs I ever bought. They come in this really nice slipcase. They come out, they fold out into like 6 rows, because there's the movies, which are 2 discs, and then it's got like 2 or 3 discs of bonus content. Man, they are primo, dude.
They look nice. They look nice.
They do.
All right, B. Any near misses? Any honorable mentions, or should we wrap?
I should have put Stardust. That was a mistake on my part. I thought about putting Scott Pilgrim. I thought about putting Groundhog Day. I knew you were going to put Groundhog Day, though. I don't know what else there would have been. I'm sure I had some others that just kind of fell off the list. Sure. But ultimately, like, I I wasn't sure about this list, and we kind of talked about it and set the parameters that we were working off of, and ended up with a list that I was really happy with.
Yeah, it's a good list.
It was. This was a fun one to do. It was really fun.
This was.
Apparently, I really like fantasy movies. Is what I got out of this.
Hey, who doesn't?
Right? So.
All right. Well, thank you so much for joining us, for being here with us as we journeyed through fantasy. Speaking of fantasies, if we get enough subscribers, Brody's going to be doing one of these shirtless in no time. So go ahead and click that subscribe button, log into your friends' accounts, click the subscribe button there. And don't forget to like our videos. Below me are some other videos you might enjoy. And below Brody are all the goodies for liking and subscribing. We will see you next time here at Talk Talk Punch.
Bye.